There's been some questionable things going on in the NBA. One of them being Chris Paul was not released, but he was sent home on a road trip while they were in Atlanta by the Los Angeles Clippers. It was reported that him and Coach Ty Lue were not on speaking terms for weeks, and the Clippers had issues with Chris Paul being Chris Paul.
Yeah, Ty Lue, he walked over to Chris Paul as he was sitting down doing the class assignment. He said, "You know what, Chris? Why don't you go ahead and log off for me?" As he rested his hand on his right shoulder. Chris Paul, it's just a shame that it has to end this way. He went back to his Clippers, an organization, that he had played for so long and throughout his entire NBA career, played well. Correct me if I'm wrong. He's going to be the best point guard to ever play for the Los Angeles Clippers ever.
Best player to ever play for the Los Angeles Clippers ever.
Okay, yeah, best player. And it ends like this. They're just, I'm not sensing, granted, I'm not in the room. I don't know exactly what Chris Paul's doing. Right. Maybe he's undermining Coach Lue, but still, you wish there's a little bit more respect with the way that Chris Paul had to be, I guess, booted from the team.
Yeah, it's really weird because it's one thing to be released, and then there's one thing to be sent home, right?
Yeah.
Chris Paul got sent home. He was not released from the team. He's still a Clipper, all right? He's still a Los Angeles Clipper. He's not on a different team. He was just basically told, go home. All right. I need you to go home. Okay. Now, there was this clip that surfaced a few days ago of James Harden and Chris Paul having an interaction at practice. Basically, Chris Paul, I wasn't there. It's not clear as day what is being said in the video. But basically, to sum it up, the report was Chris Paul was telling Harden to run a more, balanced offense, a more well put together offense rather than what they're running now. Harden disagreed. Clip cuts to Ty Lue running the practice. Basically, told off Chris Paul. He told him off in front of the entire team. Okay. That, to me, it was really surprising to see because a coach as high respected as Ty Lue, he coached with LeBron James, won a championship with them in Cleveland, and then he's been successful as his time for the Clippers. It's not how you would expect Ty Lue to handle a given situation.
Yeah, but that's where it is. It's difficult as a coach because I think Ty Lue knows this too. Chris Paul knows just as much basketball, if not more, than him. But
right.
Chris Paul is not the coach.
No.
And Ty Lue has a system that he wants to run, a system that, isn't really working. Maybe Chris Paul, and I'm sure a lot of people at home are even thinking, hey, Chris Paul probably has a point. And so whatever he was trying to tell James Harden during practice, and I know a lot of this is rumors, you can really barely tell from a video, but nonetheless, I think it paints a pretty good picture in my mind. Chris Paul thinks that if the team does things this way, they do better. Ty Lue thinks if they do things this way, they do better. And I'm sure there's probably been some discussion throughout the season, like, hey, Chris, you can't just undermine what I say like that, You can't, try to teach everyone else, what I'm trying to tell you. Don't implement your own process into our offense. But I think that's what made this difficult. Is I'm sure Chris Paul has a point to whatever he was getting at with James Harden, but it's just not how the team's going to be run.
He's not having a good season with the Clippers. They're not really also playing him as much. But everybody knew that coming into the season. He's averaging under 3 points, career lows across the board. I'm not going to go over his numbers because they're bad. It's not worth it going over his numbers. But Chris Paul, his entire career has been praised almost for how vocal he is, what kind of leader he is. Mm-hmm. He's been that guy to hold everybody and anybody accountable. Coaches, staff members, players, probably the water boys.
Right.
Chris Paul has been the point god for the past, 20, 15 years in the NBA. And now he wants his farewell tour. He wants this to be his last season. He goes back home to the Clippers, which was the franchise that praised him. Lob City, that was his franchise. That was his team. It's what he loved. He loved playing basketball for LA. That's where his family is. He comes home for his farewell season. All right, Chris Paul, we need you to go home. We need you to literally go home.
This ain't
Messed
working
up.
with you here.
No. That doesn't sit well with me. I saw Blake Griffin speak on this. It doesn't sit well with him either. They kind of did him dirty because Blake Griffin was still an all-star and they traded him out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And then he had one of arguably his career season when he was on the Pistons that season.
Yeah, he was shipped off to Detroit, man. That was not. I can't say that was very nice.
No, that was not very nice. But I mean, Detroit made the playoffs that year. You got to give him props. But Chris Paul, again, it's sad to see, especially me. I'm everyone knows here. I'm a massive Suns fan.
Yeah.
He helped bring Phoenix to an NBA Finals berth. So I got nothing but love for Chris Paul. I hope they can reach a buyout somehow or gets resolved in some way because, again, it's CP's farewell season and we're not going to get a farewell season.
Yeah, I just look forward to the next time Chris Paul is on a podcast. Maybe in a year. I'm sure he's not going to just run out and just tell his side of the story right away. But I anticipate not too far, maybe a year from now, we'll know everything that was said on both sides, at least from Chris Paul's point of view. And I can't wait for that day.
Yeah, well, I mean,
maybe he'll come on the pod.
Chris, if you ever are in Olean, New York, hop on above the rim, man.
You ever find yourself in Olean and it's and like you're doing okay, like you're not just randomly in Olean. I would be concerned if Chris Paul randomly just found himself in Olean.
Well, maybe a Bonaventure basketball is like cracked years down the line. We're just like insanely good.
If
Chris Paul will just pull up, watch a game. No, that doesn't happen.
There are no ifs.
No, there's no ifs. Chris Paul's never going to be here. But that's a sad way to see him go.